Most people only think about next week. If you want to be great, you must think about the actions you take every day to really push you ahead. You gotta think about this week, next week, the week after, the year after, the decade after. This is what really is gonna separate you from good to great. Why most people fail. Honestly, the fact is, most people are chasing short-term dopamine versus long-term discipline. The goal is honestly to make sure you put the effort in and delay gratification. You might be asking, what does this really mean? It's more focusing on taking the steps you take today, even though they might not feel great, to benefit yourself in the future for the long term. For example, going to the gym, eating clean food, drinking a lot of water. Those are just the physical aspects. They might not be fun in the beginning, but honestly, after a long period of time, you'll really start seeing the benefits of them. As you get more bigger, more muscular, more healthy, more fit, you start feeling active. You get older, your joints are still moving, everything feels good, you feel stronger, you feel more developed. That's when it really starts benefiting you. And that comes from delayed gratification, thinking about the long-term discipline. Another example is reading books. Honestly, most people hate on reading books, but let's say for example you have nothing else to do, right? You just can't think of anything. I don't really see the issue with reading a book, right? Imagine you read a book every time in your free time instead of watching Instagram Reels, right? Think about how much farther you'd get, getting new information, thinking of new ideas, being more creative. Even if these are fiction books, you just start thinking creatively. You start thinking of new ideas. It's about really just putting the effort in, day out, slowly as you keep getting better and watch. Over time, it just benefits you in the end. And honestly, every decision you make, you should be thinking about, does it benefit me 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now? Think about it. Let's say you're around like a young age of like 16, 17, a little bit behind me, right? And you have the choice between vaping or not, right? It's not really going to benefit you to vape. Even if it might feel good because of dopamine spike, right? But even then, there's no benefit out of it. Think about it, right? You see the long-term negative effects of smoking. You see it affecting your lungs negatively. You see it causing people problems. And it's honestly a money drag. Well, it's like a $20 for a vape. So imagine you do that every single week, every single year, right? It's just going to add up over time. And honestly, after like 5 years, you're still doing it, right? You're addicted. You can't get off of it. And you're like, well, what the hell now, right? You're going to regret it. Versus, let's say, for example, you put that effort in somehow into like reading a book, right? Or going to the gym. And somehow in this world, you have cool dopamine powers and you are hooked on that. Think how much more drastically different your life would be, right? So it's about the little effects and actions you take every single day. And honestly, the goal is, right now, to make this even easier for you to think for long term, you must build systems. Systems in place that make it a lot easier to do the good habits versus the bad. Like I said, you have to live in this imaginary world to have fun, like kinda lifting for 10 years or 20 years for the rest of your life, eating clean, eating healthy. You have to have systems in place to make it a lot easier to do the good things. The ones that aren't as rewarding in the moment, but you have to make it seem as it is, right? Every time you go to the gym, maybe call up friends in between your sets. Every time you eat food, you watch anime. That's like a shonen anime where the main character's working hard, right? You're finding ways to make it more fun. Every time you drink your protein shake, right, it tastes disgusting, but you find a way to make it taste good, right? Maybe, laughing with your siblings or having fun time with your cousins. That's really how you go about doing it. And the bad ones, for example, right, like every time you vape, I don't know, like honestly, the best way to stop the bad ones would be like just not even doing it in the first place, right? How could you vape if you never bought a vape, right? Instead of spending $20, you donate those $20. Think about how much drastically you'd feel. Even if you didn't see that, how many kids you'd be helping in other countries. Who knows? And honestly, one mental thing to think about when you're thinking about doing stuff for the long term is thinking, will it benefit me in 5 years, right? So let's say, for example, situation back for me like 2-3 years ago, right? I was back in high school. I was thinking to myself, all right, I'm about to graduate. I need to look for what university I need to go to, right? Currently, blue collar is being spread around. Only issue is, I know blue collar is on the rise, but the problem is, I don't like doing anything with my hands. And I see the long-term negative effects of it. And the problem is, it's like I have more of a bigger moral compass. Like if I don't see myself doing it, I shouldn't force other people to do it, right? So I knew blue collar was out of this situation. That's me. Doesn't have to be you. That's just me, right? So now I'm thinking, all right, I got to go to college, right? And I have to choose between all these different universities, right? We're in New Jersey. That's where I'm from. So we got like Rutgers, New Brunswick, Rowan, anything else you could think of, whatever, right? But honestly, cool part was I found this university called Drexel, right? Didn't know about it, right? But I saw this thing. They had this different type of program. It's a lot harder. It's a 5-year program, right? Quarter based, but it's focused on doing co-ops, right? Co-ops, these are like 6-month long internships at companies, right? And I was like, damn, right? And guess what? All these business podcasts I was listening to on the side, right? Instead of going on my phone watching Instagram reels, right? All these business podcasts, all these influencers, all these gurus always saying experience over everything, right? Mind you, I'm not no black sheep and white sheep of herds, sheep of white herds, right? I don't got no special talent. I got no special skills. I got nothing going for me. I'm just some average guy just living my life, right? I was like, oh, you know what? Since all these people say who own these $100 million businesses are saying experience over everything, a college that has built-in experience for me makes sense, right? It works out like that. You see how these two kind of played in a role with one another? Now, after that, right, you might be asking, all right, Samii, you went to college. What did you study, right? I'm using common sense, right? What is the trending thing currently, right? AI technology. It makes sense if I study computer science, right? Even though it might be more difficult, right? However, just because it's more difficult doesn't mean I can't do it, right? What's going to separate us, people like you and me, is the fact that we're going to be disciplined. We're thinking for the long term. We're going to put the effort in. We're going to be on self-improvement. We're going to be getting better. That's what's really going to separate us, right? So I was like, okay, computer science is the way to go, right? And I've only been benefiting after that, right? I had two internships, one at Comcast, one at BlackRock. I have one more coming up. It's been all working out well, and staying consistent. The fact is, if you just keep thinking for the long term like this and keep putting the effort in, stuff will just keep piling on top of one another, like this, like this, like this. And over time, you'll just benefit. So just think about a time in your life where, honestly, you were for example, right? Honestly, the biggest example is in class, right? Usually a math class for me, right? You don't feel like paying attention, right? But you got to find a way to make it more interesting, right? You're sitting there, professor or teacher's going on, you're not really interested, blah, blah. You don't even understand, right? You know what? What I did was, for me, I took the time out of my 1 hour of that class, raised my hand and asked the question. Even if it was a subject 2 lessons ago, 2 weeks ago, I just said, screw it. It's my hour. I'm not getting this time back. I've already committed it, right? It's time I'm not getting back. I might as well ask. Teacher says, you know what? We already learned this, but let's go over it again, right? Now I understand the subject better. This is pre-calc, by the way. Now I'm a calculus guy, but who knows, right? So think about times like those in your days where you could take advantage. Whether you're in class, whether you're in the bathroom, whether you're doing whatever, right? Just start thinking for the long term. See how you can find a way to implement something for your long-term self. So some really good examples for long-term thinking would be thinking about your health, your relationships, your finance, right? Listen, you don't got to be the biggest bodybuilder, but you should be the guy who consistently goes to the gym, right? Try to build a habit of working out for an hour a day. Trust me, you're not going to see it now because you have free time. So it seems like, this is easy. But as you get older, you start having kids, you start having more responsibilities, you're trying to build this business, you're trying to do better in your career, right? You're going to start seeing your fitness slowly fade away. And you don't want to be ugly. Shit, I'm already ugly, and I don't want to be even more uglier than that. So trust me, guys, get at least an hour in a day, right? Start working on it. Listen, if you're new in the gym, just start just look up YouTubers, see what are current workout styles. You'll start learning more about the internet space. You'll start learning more about fitness naturally. It's okay. Just an hour. Nothing more, nothing less, right? Focus on eating protein-dense meals, getting your protein up. You really want to eat food. You really want to get muscular, right? Now, relationships, right? You want to make sure you start looking for someone you can see yourself with them long term. If you don't see yourself with that person long term, honestly, don't even waste your time. I'll be honest, right? There's no point. And next, I said personal finance, right? Learn about budgeting, learn how to save, learn how to invest for the long term. Not all your money because you're still pretty young. So just think about a long way, going slow, right? Developing yourself. And just focus on learning skills. Honestly, skills is what's really going to push you and separate you from apart. Skills are what's really going to separate you. As a software developer, a lot of people still can't code. And I can even mediocrely code. And it's been helping me out a lot. So honestly, just focus on learning and learning and learning. Listen, it's okay if you're not rich by the time you're 25. For me, it makes me upset because my ego is pretty fat. But listen, as long as I try to keep getting 1% better every day, maximizing my day, getting better, I know it'll happen eventually. As long as I never give up, right, guys? Listen, it might feel slow, but compounding really does happen. You just gotta view the big picture. Literally 1 year, 2 years, 3 years of discipline, being in self-improvement, just investing in yourself day in, day out, could change your life for the next 10 years. And listen, nobody remembers who really went viral 5 years ago, but you do remember people who carry a legacy. Think about George Washington, for example, right? Doesn't make any sense, even though I mentioned him, right? But you still know who he is. That's a pretty big legacy. He founded America. Now, you don't gotta find America to be rich, right? Or have a good life. But think like that, for example.